southern Kaduna. The governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, had announced that he went to 14 different countries to appease the Fulani who come from those countries to kill in southern Kaduna. These appeasement measures, according to El-Rufai, included the payment of 100 million naira from the public treasury of Kaduna State to the invading murderous Fulani militia. F. Under the watch of President Buhari, a strange practice was introduced in which captured fighters of Boko Haram and other terror groups are freed by the federal government of Nigeria, which declares them repentant and actually absorbs them into the Nigerian military to fight side by side with people who were chasing them just the day before. G. The recent unilateral declaration by President Buhari that Africans from all parts of Africa are free to enter Nigeria without visa, and the consequent influx of Fulani into Nigeria, who are being openly aided by the federal government of Nigeria to take over vast lands from the indigenous communities, has exacerbated the undisguised ethnic cleansing by the invading Fulani, whom the governor of Bauchi State recently declared as being all Nigerians. The governor of Bauchi State went on national TV to tell the rest of us that Fulani from all over Africa are Nigerians, and therefore not only are they to enter, but they can, that they will have the first right of, enjoying whatever is available to Nigerian citizens, wherever they are in Africa. On a scale, this particular point is happening, this particular point of compromising our sovereignty is happening on a scale that totally compromises the sovereignty of Nigeria itself, and therefore that of all constituent components of Nigeria, particularly the South and the Middle Belt. The massive influx of dangerous-looking Fulani migrants into southern Nigeria during the federal government-imposed COVID-19 lockdown is a pointer to the malevolent motives of the Fulani. In the first week of August 2020, the U.S. raised alarm about an impending invasion of Nigeria by both Al-Qaeda and ISIS from Nigeria's northwest. To further compromise our sovereignty, Chinese loans being recklessly contracted by the federal government of Nigeria contain clauses that cede Nigeria's sovereignty to China in the event of a default. Reckoning aggravations A to G above, the peoples of South and Middle Belt of Nigeria are now in the horrific realization and apprehension that the Fulani-controlled federal government of Nigeria, under the superintendence of the Fulani President, Muhammad Buhari, could actually be behind the well-orchestrated ethnic cleansing campaign being unleashed against the indigenous nationalities of Nigeria by the Fulani invading Nigeria from all sides. In the face of the Sharia embraced by our compatriots in the far north of Nigeria, in a supposedly secular federation, the clear existential threat to the peoples of southern and middle belt Nigeria, represented by the aforementioned jihad-style Fulani militia onslaught, brings a new urgency to the grave constitutional grievance that have been consistently raised by the peoples of the southern and middle belt Nigeria in course of the last 5 decades, bordering on the sovereignties of the constituent components of Nigeria, which has now been completely hijacked, suppressed, and subjugated by the illicit federal government of Nigeria, which has become a suzerain power controlled exclusively by the Fulani. We can see the map that shows what we're talking about. The stretch in yellowish color at the 12 contiguous states of the far north that simultaneously adopted Sharia in year 2000. They are contiguous and they acted simultaneous in year 2000. And then we see the other part, white, the eastern half of southern Nigeria, that's the lower Niger, the western half, and the middle belt, which is the white portion on this map is the alliance territory, rejecting the Sharia and rejecting unitarism and feudalism. We continue. In the face of the Sharia embraced by our compatriots in the far north of Nigeria in a supposedly secular federation, the clear existential threat to the jihad-style Fulani militia onslaught brings a new urgency. Accordingly, being accredited representatives of the indigenous nationalities of Nigeria's southern and middle belt territories, hereinafter called the Alliance territories, constituting over 75% of the population of Nigeria, on behalf of the peoples of the territory, and in invocation of the universal rights appertaining to our sovereignties as indigenous peoples of the stressed Nigerian territory, including the right to self-determination as enshrined in the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People 2007, as well as the United Nations Charter on Human Rights. Having exhausted every democratic, people-driven process in seeking an orderly redress for the aforementioned grave constitutional grievances emanating from the unilateral imposition of a unitary constitutional order on our supposed federal union by a section of Nigeria that has also imposed Sharia in their own part of our supposed secular union. And now, in circumstances that has become an extraordinary emergency for our people, being confronted by the clear and present danger of extermination in the hands of our supposed compatriots in the Union of Nigeria, who are pursuing an ethnic cleansing campaign against the indigenous nationalities of Nigeria, hereby declare a sovereignty dispute with the Federation of Nigeria as represented by the federal government of Nigeria on account of our repudiation and rejection of the imposed 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, whose authorship was fraudulently imputed to us by the preamble to that Constitution in its first claim that we, the people, made, enacted, and gave to ourselves the said 1999 Constitution, with a further lie in that preamble that we had firmly and solemnly resolved to submit our peoples and our lands into the Union of Nigeria. Furthermore, in invocation of our long suppressed collective sovereignties, we hereby proclaim a constitutional force majeure effective from the midnight of the 16th day of December in 2020, with a 90-day notice to the government of the Federation of Nigeria, the Security Council of the United Nations, the government of the United States of America, the European Union, as well as the international community, of the intention of the peoples of the Alliance territories to reconsider our continued allegiance to the disputed 1999 Constitution, as well as the unitary union of death, attrition, and backwardness it forced on us. For the sake of peace and to avoid anarchy, it is our demand that in the 90-day period of this notice, the following specific actions must be undertaken by the federal government of Nigeria to firmly set in motion an irreversible process by which the aforementioned grave constitutional grievances will be addressed. A formal announcement by the federal government of Nigeria acknowledging the constitutional grievances and sovereignty dispute now declared by the peoples of South and Middle Belt of Nigeria. B, a formal commitment by the federal government of Nigeria to the wholesale decommissioning and jettisoning of the 1999 Constitution as the basis of the Federation of Nigeria, as was done by the government of apartheid era South Africa in 1990, to commence the process by which the apartheid constitution of the then South Africa was eased out. C, a formal announcement by the federal government of Nigeria suspending further general elections under the disputed 1999 Constitution, since the winners of such elections will swear to and govern by that Constitution. D, a formal initiation of a time-bound transitioning process to midwife the emergence of fresh constitutional protocols by a two-stage process in which the constituent regional blocks will, at the first stage, distill and ratify their various constitutions by referendum and plebiscite, and in the second stage, negotiate the terms of federating afresh as may be dictated by the outcomes of referendum and plebiscites. E, a formal invitation to the peoples of the South and Middle Belt of Nigeria to work out and in place a transitional authority by which shall specify the modalities for the transitioning.
Mark Oliste, please, could you unshare your screen? And the host, please, could you make sure that no one else has the access to share screen for the duration, except us here, please. Thank you.
I take the last one again. E, a formal invitation to the peoples of the South and Middle Belt of Nigeria to work out and in place a transitional authority which shall specify the modalities for the transitioning process, including the composition and mandate of the transitional authority, as well as the time frame for the transitioning over and other ancillary matters, just like South Africa did with apartheid in 1990. By this proclamation, let it be known to all, including the international money lenders, that Nigeria is now a disputed project, and that while the constituent components commit to honoring existing international debt obligations, we caution that whatever obligations may arise from any foreign loans contracted by the federal government of Nigeria from the date of this proclamation may come into controversy. Similarly, all loans contracted by the federal government of Nigeria containing any clause that may cede the sovereignty of Nigeria to any or any part thereof in the event of a repayment default shall be disputed as illicit and in breach of the sovereignty of the federating units. We also invite politicians from the alliance territories and other political parties and all political parties operating in the alliance territory to take notice that the 1999 constitution by which the winner of any national elections in Nigeria will swear and govern is the very object of the sovereignty dispute we have just proclaimed, with a demand that further national elections premised upon the repudiated constitution be deferred forthwith for the purpose of first reworking the damaged constitutional basis of Nigeria. It is therefore our expectation that you will stand with your people, that's the politicians and the political parties, will stand with the people you claim or seek to serve as politicians or political parties in their current resolve to wind up the operation of the 1999 Constitution and extinguish the source of their misery. If instead of standing with your people, you choose to go to another round of general elections in 2023 under that 1999 Constitution, it will simply mean that you are a part of the enemy-imposed mechanism for inflicting death, misery, impoverishment upon your own people for no other reason than personal gain. The signatories to this proclamation commit themselves to providing a detailed proposition for undertaking the fundamental reconfiguration of the damaged constitutional basis of Nigeria. In this regard, the signatories adopt and incorporate the MNN Alliance's November 16, 2018 open memorandum to President Muhammadu Buhari on the restructuring debate, reported in Guardian newspaper of November 18, 2018, as an outline of our prescriptions, issued this day, this 16th day of December, year 2020. I thank you for your audience.
Okay, this demands an incredible round of applause. Everybody, just wherever you are, even though your mic is muted, this is history. This is what we have been waiting for. This is history. It's not going to be the same again from today. It's not going to be the same again from today. In the alliance territory have done today, what all of us have done is basically look a 100-year-old monster a 100-year-old monster in the face and say, go to hell, go to hell. Yes, we've looked fear in the face and say, no more. We fear no more. It shall never be the same again from here. All right, so what we're going to take right now, we're going to take comments and then questions from the media. Questions from the media first. And then there's Heritage TV and a couple of other media people and international media in the house. So we are going to take questions. We also have Professor Akintoye in the house. Thank you very much, sir. And a couple of other lead signatories, who are here. So for the journalists in the room who have questions, what you could do is you raise your hand and or you type it in the chat. But if you raise your hand, the host can unmute you and then you speak. Otherwise, just go ahead and type your questions in the chat and then we will have your questions taken. Yes, so one already says, can we please share a soft copy of the declaration so that we can circulate it to Nigerians all over the world? Yes, with this proclamation, the soft copy is being released right now to all the media houses in Nigeria, internationally, and social media, and everyone on this call. We are also going to upload it before this call goes, and you can download it right there from Zoom. Yes. Okay, so questions? Yes, we have been waiting for this day all our lives. Yes, I see that coming from Justice for All. Yes, Tunde Obo. This is the people taking over their land. And then in the chat I hear, I am dancing. Yes, this is a day to dance. Okay, so we're still waiting for questions or comments from the media first. So we're looking at the chat, so questions from the media first, and then we take from the rest of the house. Comments? Okay, and while we are waiting for the media and their questions, we'd also like to invite Professor Akintoye in the house to please unmute yourself and address the people. We thank you very much, Prof, for all the efforts that you made to make sure that everything goes well. But so here is technology. In spite of all your best effort, it didn't happen, but we're so honored that you are here in the room. So Professor Akintoye, please unmute your mic and then address the house. Thank you very much. Okay, and then the host can share Professor Akintoye's screen. Prof, you're still muted.
Professor Akintoye. Yeah.
Prof is there. Prof, you're muted.
No,
Prof,
I
can
see
you hear
him on
us?
the list, but I'm trying to find him. There's a lot of people in the meeting. Meeting. Some. Oh yes, there he is.
Okay.
Professor Akintoye. Yes.
Yeah, Professor Verge Akintoye.
Okay, there is nothing more to add at this point than to say that this is the turning of the tide of history for the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt. We have endured suppression in the country that we belong to, and we have done everything possible, everything sensible, everything peaceful to address it, but we have been turned down and treated as if our voices don't matter. Now we are telling the world that our voices matter, and from this point there is no turning back. I congratulate the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt for this historic day. And I say that we will go on and achieve the liberation of our people from suppression and subjugation in Nigeria. Thank you very much. It is a great day, a welcome change in the life of our people. And we thank you all for listening to us. Here we go. This is the turning of the tide of history. for the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Awesome.
Tony. Thank you, everybody, all of you young men who have done this. You know that
Thank you
I
very
am with
much.
you every inch of the way, every second of the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have other signatories, lead signatories in the house. Yes, so please, the other signatories in the house, you are welcome to please identify yourself and say a word. We're also trying to identify who are here. Is TK, is TK in the house of Goriba? Okay, all right, so we have George. George is a signatory and he's in the house. Okay, George, let's have a word from you. Okay, and then I would also invite, I can see that leaders from the Middle Belt, this comment is from Wing Commander Dr. Hussein Omotosho.
Yes.
All right, so we would also like to invite any of the signatories from the Middle Belt, from Ijaw Nation, from, yes, Jonah Jang, and all of you present here, please, would also invite you for your remarks. Okay, George, let's have your remarks.
Thank you so much, Ogbo. This is really a great day for everyone. This is the culmination of all the hard work that everybody has put in for the past 2-3 years. And it's great to be here to witness this. I'm very, very optimistic. I'm very, very happy. I had always known from the beginning that victory is ours. And we have shown resilience, we have shown patience, we have shown understanding, but the people we are dealing with are actually totally deaf and dumb. So since they are deaf and dumb, this drastic action that is legal, that is totally according to the dictates of the United Nations, is extremely welcome. Now we are in the driving seat. I congratulate everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, George. Okay, Uncle Fred Agbegbe. Is Uncle Fred in the house? The chairman of the Movement for New Nigeria Alliance. Can we have your remarks? Okay, Middle Belt, the Middle Belt signatories from Middle Belt. Any of you here, please just type in the chat and let's have your remarks. Okay. Is Commodore Ikiwe, a bit to Ikiwe still in the house? Commodore Jonah Jang. Professor Turaki, I saw you.
No, please, I can't hear a word again.
A little while ago. Can you still hear me? Or is it just Hajanik that can't hear me?
I'm hearing you.
Okay. Okay, Hajanik, maybe it's your internet. All right, let's see. Okay, we have actually Wing Commander Jose Omotosho joining us all the way from Australia. Okay, please just unmute yourself and just give us your remark. Yeah, give us your remark. Excellent.
It's great to witness what is happening. The remark I want to give, permit me to give it, because I'm not only a retired wing commander, I've traveled all the place. I've been task force on many task forces in Benin, in Port Harcourt, in Makurdi. But the one thing is also that I'm a pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. And for 20 years, God has shown me about this thing that is about to happen. And Nigeria is a train moving. Nobody can stop it. The new Nigeria is what we in the South belong to. And people have been shouting about it. I've foreseen it over 20 years ago when I was still in the service. So I'm very confident. Let body have no fear at all whatsoever. We are in it together. Initially, it was like pockets. But what God showed me is that there is teamwork from the south across the Niger. No one can do it alone. And I'm asking, that's why my question about the middle belt. We need to really work in the middle belt zone because the Fulanis are bent on taking the middle belt with them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Wayne Commander Jose, and thank you for that comment about the middle belt. When I invite Tony in at the back, he will give us a little bit of the update because very exciting things are happening in the middle belt. As a matter of fact, they are fully 100% into what we're doing here today. Thank you very much for that. I would also like to invite Hajia Nike Abdurrahim. You're the Yeye Oge of Northern Yeye. Okay, sorry, Yeye Oge. Pardon me, don't worry. When we fix Nigeria, we'll get to. When we fix Nigeria, we fix language, we fix all these things that they have messed up our brain.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, give us the remarks. Thank you.
I really appreciate what is going on. I'm so excited to be here, and I commend the organizer of this move. May God make it easy for us. As the Yeye Oge of Northern Nigeria, you know, I represent my people. I am the voice of the women, and we are so concerned about the recent happening in the country. Nowhere is safe. And I believe the only thing to do is to do it ourselves with our own people in our own way and get it better again. We know what is happening. There's no need. There's this Chinese saying that says, if you want to defeat others, you must first defeat yourself. And in defeating ourselves, we have to work on our fear, you know, lack of confidence that if we come out to say what we want, are they going to put us behind bars? If they don't put Nelson Mandela behind bars, a lot of good things won't happen in his country. So we should defeat that and then move ahead according to plan and work together as a team to achieve this feat. And I believe we are going to, you know, do great. We are going to achieve it by the grace of God. Our parents prayed for it. We prayed for it because we know what is happening with our own children. Nothing is working in this country called Nigeria anymore. So whatever is going to take, if it has to be to segregate, then let's do it without fear. Please, count me in on this. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So thank you very much indeed. As the former president of the United States said in moments like this, he said that there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And what we've just done today is defeat fear because there was nothing for us other than fear. So thank you for that very excellent comment. And if he says today is the turning point, power must go back to the people. Ray Chukwemeka says, throughout the night, I saw myself participating in this historic event. I am most grateful to God for allowing me to see this day. All right, do we still have any other late signatory in the house? Would like you to, yes, I think I just saw Reverend Palm. Yes, Reverend James Palm, please, your remarks. Please unmute yourself. Johnny, please unmute Reverend Palm and let's have your remarks, sir. Awesome. Oh, we can hear him. We can hear him. He's speaking, but we can't hear him. Please unmute him and then let him unmute himself. Okay, Reverend Palm, can you go ahead? Okay, we're still having some audio challenge with Reverend Palm, who also happens to be one of the lead signatories from the Middle Belt. Okay, all right. Oh, you can hear, I see a thumbs up. Mike is here. Okay. Can you all hear Reverend Palm? Reverend Palm is speaking, but we can't hear him from here. Or is it just us? Okay. All right. We also have Mike. Mike, can you?
No, we can hear him too.
Okay. Mike, can you unmute yourself and give your remarks? I think we also have Mike, who happens to be a signatory as well. Okay, you can hear him as well. Okay, all right. So why don't you go ahead and take a couple of questions or comments that have already arisen from the media in the chat. One of them was, before we take this ones, somebody the wing commander made a comment about the middle belt. Can you give us some update, not just the middle belt, but the other parts of the alliance, how everybody, and I know in the past couple of days, you've been traveling all over the whole place and engaging. Give our people a sense of the level of deep engagement that, because it's easy to think that it's just people on this call, you know, and maybe a few other people. Just give us some idea about the deep engagement with the people, the owners of the land that has happened in the past couple of days.
Right. What we see today is a culmination of a 21-year journey that began right in 1999.
So
let's mute ourselves and hear ourselves.
Dikurulahi, please mute yourself. We can hear you. Dikurulahi, please mute yourself. Thank you.
So, as it were, the event we see today is a culmination of a 21-year process that began right from the point the 1999 Constitution was introduced. Collapse of the 1960 consensus, 1966. And it came in 5 phases that is now at the terminal phase. This is the concluding part of the terminal phase. In the first phase, we had to get the nationalities of Nigeria to sit down and examine their situation and the options available. That was how Pronaco came. We went around the whole country. Nadeko, yes, was successful in getting the soldiers out of government house, but the constitution by which we had to go to that democracy was not settled, and so the soldiers succeeded in, enforcing on us fraudulently the constitution they made in 1979 through all kinds of underhand processes from 1975, and so it was a matter of engaging the problem for what it was. And so we said all the structures created by Nigeria since 1966 by decree will not be the basis of any discussion. It's the nationalities that will have to, the Yorubas, Yoruba, the Ijaws, the Ogonians, Ogoni. And that was how the conference of 2005, the Pronaco that happened between 2005 and 2006 came into being. We will recall that at the time we were going around the country to, invite people into these nationalities. It took 3-4 years of intensive, engagement with the nationalities. In 2004, it came to where we announced that we were going to have a meeting of the sovereign components of Nigeria to examine the options open, because the country was going down, and so. Obasanjo was president at the time. What did he do? He went on national broadcast to say that we were committing treason if we called a meeting of the owners of Nigeria. Well, that challenge simply he had to change his own, in an attempt to get ahead of the initiative. That was how Obasanjo set up the McCarthy Committee in December of 2004. To work out what became the 2005 National Conference. Well, our quarrel with all of what they were doing at the time, for which reason we wanted to do it by ourselves, is that the task of deciding, the right and prerogative of deciding the union agreement, which the Constitution is exclusive to the constituents. The sovereign constituents of Nigeria are the only ones who can determine whether they want to be in a union, and if so, on what terms. Those are 2 separate questions, and that's why you see the Constitution starting with the preamble, we, the people, have solemnly resolved to live together. That's one subject matter. And then the other one is making and giving unto ourselves a constitution. That's another subject matter, like the memo and articles of a company. Now, yes, we discussed all the way to 1960, from the time the British were planning to leave. But that agreement, union agreement that was reached in Lancaster House, that Nigeria shall be a federation of autonomous regions that will have control and ownership over their assets, contributing for the upkeep of the center, and generally, a secular union. These were fundamentals. And to tell us how far we have departed from those fundamentals, from the time we abandoned what we agreed in 1966, it will be recalled that these killings happen in the Middle Belt today over, from elements that seem bent on a jihad. The Willings Commission, as at the time independence was being negotiated, quite apart from the question of being a federal union and being a secular union, Ahmadu Bello, who was a leader of the northern region of the time, wanted Sharia, for northern regions. And so it was a matter of fundamental compromise for the Sharia to be removed, because the Middle Belt, Joseph Tucker and others who didn't feel that the people of the Middle Belt could become part of that north that would be governed by Sharia. So the Willings Commission did draw up a compromise in which Sharia was removed and a penal code in place as the basis of Middle Belt that could have been a region of its own at the time, becoming a part of Nigeria. And so when in year 2000, that fundamental compromise was toppled and Sharia imposed, it simply amounted to a secession from the secular union. And these are all the kind of things that changed, for which reason it was the contention of the nationalities that it was their exclusive business, like the owners of a company have the exclusive right to make their memo and article. It's not the hired management of a company that makes the memo and article. That is what it sounds like when National Assembly begins to say that they want, or the government begins to say that they want. So we went on from Pronaco, we agreed on what we could do, we had a draft. We went on in 2007 to go to court to say, look, we didn't make this constitution, to afford the government the opportunity to lead the process so that we can do it like South Africa did. They wouldn't listen. Things got worse. So by 2011, that MNN Lagos declaration that by which these nationalities now came to say this constitution cannot be basis. So we're not anarchists, so we put in place a process by which the regional blocks will have to make out their own charters and constitutions ahead of when we go back to that discussion. And we've come every step of the way to where they subjected their decisions to some kind of ratification by solemn assemblies. It was when they had finished all those solemn assemblies that they came back in Lagos in 2018, December 11, to the Freedom Park proclamation that now is being implemented from today. They decided that they will not go to any further elections under the constitution that made them slaves in their land. Okay. That's why we're gathered here today. So it's not a casual thing, and everybody in all the territories involved, had the opportunity. As recent as, 1 week ago, we just came back from the Middle Belt where we were concluding our discussions with people that we've done so in the East, we've done so in various parts of the West, overseas. Our people in the diaspora, we sat down with them in town halls across the various countries. So that's how we got to where we are now. It's not a casual thing that just began yesterday.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And please, somebody is inadvertently sharing their screen.
Okay. What's the problem? More online.
Mute your microphone.
You are not admitted to speak.
Please mute your microphone until you are admitted to speak. And host, please, I don't know who is sharing a white screen. Could you please keep people from sharing? Someone is sharing a white screen now. I think it's James Palm. James Palm, please unshare. Okay, thank you very much, please. Okay. That was a bit distracting, so I wasn't sure. Okay, so thank you very much, Tony. The summary is there's a lot of engagement. This is not a casual thing, like Tony just said. There's a lot of engagement, with the people. And this is a movement whose time has come. So we want to take a few questions. One is, and I think one pertinent question here for everybody, is people want to know, what is the next line of action after this declaration? What is expected of us as citizens? What next? Just very briefly, give us succinctly. And before Tony answers, I think that Johnny just confirmed, if people put in their mails, because I would like everybody on the call right now to get the text immediately. So if people put in their emails in the chat, Johnny, can you save them? Can you extract the emails, and so we can send out immediately? I can send out the text.
I can.
All right. So, okay, we'll save the chat and then extract the email. So everybody, put your email address, and then immediately after this event, you are going to get the text as it is, and we can begin to share. Ademola Akintoye says, Engineer Akintoye says, we, the indigenous nations within the fraudulent determined confines known as Nigeria in the South and Middle Belt, must all now fully cooperate in all possible facets of human life, security, economic policy, etc., to establish our sovereign will. All right, very good, excellent message, and that is why we are here today. So briefly, what next?
Right. Before I go to that, before I go to the what next, Professor Akintoye and the rest of the leadership of the alliance.
Ibrahim, what permission will send message, John Tolo?
Mr. Ibrahim, can you mute?
I just muted him. Host has just muted him.
Man.
Please let will be on all platforms, on Facebook, everywhere people can on Google, everywhere people can find information. It will be all over the place. There are millions of people already taking it on to spread. Our task is to take on it and spread it further. The leadership of the Alliance mandates me to announce to us that this proclamation of today, this sovereignty dispute proclamation of today, will be presented to the President of Nigeria, will be presented to the UN, will be presented to the US and European Union, and all of those who might be asking what's going on in Nigeria. And the various regional blocks in Nigeria, they have their all kinds of leadership. Everybody will have to, those who are fed up with Nigeria, those who are fed up with Nigeria, who now want to become countries of their own, this chapter will be presented to them to examine whether the answer to their problem is there. Those who want Biafra, those who want Odua Republic, those who want Republic, those who want the cost control, those who say there should be good governance. The young people who went out to the streets the other time, this document is now in your hand. Everything you complained about, SARS and the police that shoot, the army that chase you around and leave the criminals and murderers from afar, all of the electricity you don't have, all of the quota system that put mediocrity ahead of excellence in your country, all of the infrastructure that will never be there because of exclusive lists, everything that has turned your life to what it is now, in which you are running to various parts of the world to become slave again all over. This document is in your hand. The solution to that situation is in this document. If we put our hands on it and insist on taking back our sovereignty that have been hijacked by Nigeria for 60 years and more, we'll get to that destination we seek. We only need to stop those who renew the life of the Constitution. The winner of any election, for those who may be saying, oh, let us go election and get it there, all right. The winner of any election will have to govern by the 1999 Constitution, which creates all these situations, like apartheid constitution is worse than apartheid. Now, the only way that constitution has survived for 21 years is that the life is renewed every 4 years by elections. Luckily for us, only political parties contest elections. And what happens is that because of what they get from going to contest the election, the senators, the governors, we know what they take home. The governors take billions every month. The senators take 50, 60 million. House members, everybody, managing Nigeria under this constitution that breeds corruption and protects the beneficiaries of corruption comprehensively beyond our reach. The only reason they want the constitution to remain the way it is, even in the midst of all our consensus, is because of that personal gain. And so it is within our reach, the rest of us, to insist that the political parties must close shop at this time. That's the only task left. Let us take the document, digest it, take it to our communities, take it to everywhere. Those from Nigeria who are stranded in all parts of the world, we travel quite around the globe, and we see our people slaving away the second time, being killed like people without a homeland, just because their country is not working, for a country that sells 3 million barrels of crude oil. So we are saying that it is within our reach. What we have to do is to digest this information and spread it amongst our people. The action we need to take is to insist that the political parties must shut down any further preparations towards any elections, must close shop, so that we can go and rework the constitution by which the winner of any elections will have to go. If we do this, it won't take us 3 months to get to the end of all these problems. If we fail to do it, they will drag us to another election, have another 4 years, and we'll have ourselves to blame if they get another 4 years.
God forbid, because what has started, we're going to complete. Okay. Right. So there's just one comment. Just one very brief comment, Tony. I still want you to address it because it's coming up again. And then please just very, very briefly so that we can round off and then send it and people can start running with it.
Right.
Now, the question is, what is the next line? What can we do? Then somebody actually expanded on it. He said, suppose the Buhari or this government comes up with resistance and then they are whatever. What's that? They don't want this to end, just us talking about it. So what is the next? And the right to self-determination is inalienable, according to the UN instrument on the subject. The remedy available to Nigerians today in all of what they are suffering is in self-determination. The constitution we have on the table today was imposed in negation of our self-determination. And what we need to do right now is to insist that this constitution cannot be basis of the union going further, and therefore anybody discussing election in your neighborhood is telling you, I want you to remain the slave you are. I want you to be available to be killed. I want you to operate without electricity. I want mediocrity to continue to rule over your excellence. And so it is within our reach to just face those political parties and tell them, this far, no more. To close shop. We don't need to go to any far place in all the street corners where they operate. The only reason they are there is that they are planning to take their turn in this robbery enterprise that Nigeria has become under this constitution. Nigeria has become a criminal enterprise. All right, so I want to thank you very much, Tony.
One last item. All of those who may wish to be a part of this, from this evening, there will be opened an online petition in which everybody can become signatory to this document by just clicking in their names on that online petition. And there's a website already deployed to receive everybody who may want to know what's going on and want to participate. That website is called freedomfromnigeria.com. www.freedomfromnigeria.com. So the actions will include signing up to that petition, because we already have about 20 million people whose signatures have been processed for the UN, so that the whole world can see that we are together in making this demand. Let it also be noted that we are not anarchists. Our quarrel is not with the government. We are not asking them to leave government house. The 5 points of demand center around a plan for transitioning, and orderly transitioning away from the constitution of death towards the constitution of life, as we may determine in our sovereignty, in our right to self-determination. And therefore, just like South Africa did, before somebody comes saying that we want to come and take over, we are not interested. No, anybody who is interested in going to government house under this constitution is a criminal that is some people should try to stop from going to sell him to the enemy that wants to keep everybody in bondage. And so it is a matter of asking that we go the option Frederick de Klerk adopted for apartheid South Africa in 1990, to agree that we have not made a constitution, to agree that the one that is imposed is not working. Luckily, the National Assembly a few weeks ago owned up to the reality that the question of constitution making is beyond their powers. If the Vice President of Nigeria in late September raised an alarm that the walls of Nigeria are cracked, we went on 2 days after to tell the country that those cracks are coming from the damaged constitutional basis. We are all trapped in that house. If we do not take this action when we can, that house will deteriorate progressively to when it falls on our head. And remember that the UN rapporteur that came in 2019, September, did turn in a report that the constitutional arrangement is like pressure cooker for injustice, and that it has become a danger to the global community. 200 million people that will be seeking refuge if Nigeria, erupts. We are in a position to stop that. It is within our reach to solve this problem, and we can put our hands to it and deliver an outcome in a matter of months.
Okay. All right. So I really want to thank every one of you, all the lead signatories to this proclamation today, and everyone who's been here. Again, if you haven't put your email on the chat, please do that, so that immediately after this, I'll show you that within 10 minutes after we end this proclamation, you are going to get the PDF copy of the proclamation. And I want to thank all of you who have come for this historic event and then who have stayed on, and to let you know that the engagement continues. The Alliance, there are different groups, and Tony is quite accessible. I've also seen Daughters of the Truth here, and a couple of other people. I've seen Heritage Television there. They have a YouTube channel that's got a lot, hours and hours of dozens of hours of materials that Tony has put up there with Heritage Television. So you can also check them on YouTube and check their website. And then there's also the Lower Niger Congress Media YouTube channel. There is also the Facebook, where you can hear a lot more. Okay, so let the conversation continue.
Hello.
Ilanomo Odua.
Hello.
Website. So let's continue all this engagement, and please always come back, to us, and come back to Tony.
Go to the website.
And to the website.
It's an interactive one. People will
yes, exactly. To keep engaged. And so I want to thank all of you for being here, and the conversation continues after this. Thank you very much indeed. God bless you. And thank God for this historic event that has happened today. And God bless you. You hear from us as soon as it's important to hear from us again. Okay, bye for now.
Yes. This is from Heritage TV.
Let's do it this way. we can move on to the Heritage TV UK. As you synergize with the other, media houses for a program to dissect what has been put on the table. The draft is already sent to your outfit and the other journalists and media houses present. Let us allow the other people to go. And then let every town hall, let every gathering everywhere, be centered on discussing this grand proposition that can solve this problem and end this bloodshed. Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. And thank you, Johnny, for listening.
Thank you.
Wow. That was
for UK, please.
That was very, very beautiful from everybody around the world. Nigeria is going down. We are going to dismantle it because that is the way to do it. I want to thank everybody who has joined me on this program today. The program hasn't finished because we have more to offer today on the program. Very soon I will be inviting all my panelists to join me on this program where we can actually discuss things and go forward on this program today. I want to thank everybody who is still online with me. While we're going to bear with me for some few seconds to bring in my guests for the second part of the program, I hope you're going to bear with me quickly. We're going to try and do that as a matter of urgency. So please there, listen, gentlemen, bear with me. If you want to ask questions, come on Heritage Television. We're starting question time on Heritage now, yeah, guys. We're starting question time on Heritage Television now, sir. The meeting has ended. We're going to start question time on Heritage Television right away, sir. We're starting on. Okay, I'm sorry for that. People are just asking some few questions, and the best way to go forward Okay, I'm so sorry for being quiet there. I'm just trying to work out how to bring my guest in quickly because I hope you guys can hear me in the outside world. If you can hear me, please let me know as a matter of urgency. One of my sisters is calling me. 1 second, please. Yeah, 1 second, please.
Iwájú lójúgun ń gbé òkè níjọ òkè lẹ́yìn fún òkè. Ìran ọmọ Yorùbá ọlọ́pọlọ pípé ọ̀mọ̀wé ń bẹ àgbẹ̀ ń bẹ iṣẹ́ ọnà ń bẹ kákónimọ́ra. Ìwà ọmọ Yorùbá ni. Kápọ́nilé káyẹ́ni sí. Iṣẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá ni. Sọ̀rọ̀ tútù tó yọbi lápò. Ọmọ Yorùbá ló ní. Òwe ìbáwí. Ọmọ Yorùbá ló pa. Òwe ìkìlọ̀. Ọmọ Yorùbá ló pa. Òwe ìwúrí. Ọmọ Yorùbá ló pa. Tọ́rọ̀ bá sọnù. Òwe là fi wá. Àkàlò èdè ń kọ́. Ọmọ Yorùbá ló lò. Ibi gíga. Ibi gíga lọ́gbọ́n Yorùbá yóò máa lọ. Ibi gíga lẹ́tí máa rọ́mọ Yorùbá. Ibi gíga lẹ́tí máa rọ́mọ ni o iwájú iwájú lójúgùn ń gbé òkè níjọ òkè lẹ́yìn fún òkè ìran ọmọ Yorùbá.
ọgbọ́n ńlá àti òye ńlá àti ìmọ̀ ńlá ó dá olúkálùkù ní èdè tiẹ̀ ó sì fún wọn ní ilẹ̀ tiẹ̀. wọ́n ní nǹkan bí 100 ọdún sẹ́yìn a pa oríṣiríṣi ọ̀pọ̀ ènìyàn pọ̀ oríṣiríṣi èdè oríṣiríṣi ilẹ̀ èyí tí Ọlọ́run ò dá aṣọ wọn pọ̀ ṣùgbọ́n ọjọ́ pé lónìí nítorí ìnira tó wà nínú àìṣe gẹ́gẹ́ bí tí Ọlọ́run ṣe fẹ́ àtẹ̀sí ọ̀nà tí Ọlọ́run fẹ́ lónìí àwọn Yorùbá tá a papọ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn èdè mìíràn àjèjì èdè ènìyàn a jáde kúrò nínú wọn lónìí nítorí lórí ilẹ̀ tá a wà yìí ibẹ̀ lẹ́yìn àṣẹ yẹn ti wá níwájú ilé tá a wà yìí ibẹ̀ làṣẹ yẹn ti wá wípé ká sọ Yorùbá pọ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn àjèjì èdè ènìyàn ṣùgbọ́n lónìí lórí ilẹ̀ yìí gan la wá sí lónìí láti tú u ká láti fọ́ ọ̀dànù láti bàájẹ́ láti kó Yorùbá kó padà sórílẹ̀-èdè wọn kí olúkálùkù kó padà sórílẹ̀-èdè tiẹ̀. So a jáde nínú àgọ́ yẹn a jáde nínú ìpapọ̀ yẹn a jáde nínú plan àwọn ènìyàn lónìí torí pé àṣẹ Ọlọ́run ni kó tá a bá dé láyé a dé lọ́run ìta bá sì fọ́ láyé a fọ́ lọ́run ìta bá fọ́ láyé a fọ́ lọ́run a fọ́ lọ́run láti òní lọ Yorùbá jáde kúrò léjèèjì lágbègbè ènìyàn láti òní lọ a jáde kúrò nínú àhámọ́ láti òní lọ a jáde kúrò nínú ìṣẹ́ láti òní lọ a jáde kúrò ní pàmpẹ́ Sàtánì òkùnkùn ló so wá pọ̀ ajá tuntun agbá òmìnira agbá orílẹ̀-èdè tiwa Odùduwà nation Yorùbá nation àbí lónìí ajáde lónìí àti fọ́ láyé àti fọ́ Ọlọ́run àti fọ́ láyé àti fọ́ Ọlọ́run gbogbo agbára tó bá so pọ̀ ó fọ́ dànù láyé ó fọ́ Ọlọ́run tàṣẹ lóòjó ń rọ̀ tàṣẹ ní ìrísẹ̀ iná inú àpáta kì í kú àṣẹ Ọlọ́run ní àfọ́ láyé àti fọ́ Ọlọ́run àfọ́ láyé àfọ́ Ọlọ́run. Thank you.
And a very good afternoon and welcome to another very beautiful day, the 16th day of December 2020. I welcome you all and I say good afternoon and welcome to the program. I'm sure you've been following the development from Heritage Television. We will go back there at some point. Let me say that quite a lot is happening, in every day that we are live. Let me turn on my camera here. We'll probably be pick more signal, along the line later from Heritage. Once again, a very good afternoon and welcome to the program. My name is Olayomi Koiki, and we will start the broadcast by playing our national anthem. I will open the phone line straight away. I'm sure a lot of you wants to know what has been going on in terms of the broadcast that you were watching there on Heritage. I will explain as much as what I know, and then we will be able all to discuss that as well. We will continue from where we were yesterday with the UTHMAN and FODIO dream, and we will then start looking at how soon should Nigeria break away. What are the timeline we should be given, and what are the the indexes that will also indicate that the country will fold up. Something must happen for Nigeria to eventually fold up, and whatever it is, I have said it, whether it is peaceful, whether it is violent, whether it is negotiation, whether we will just have the international community that would eventually come to our aid and break it. Something must happen. If nothing happens, we will just be doing the same thing every day, discussing Nigeria should break this and that. But something has to happen. But what is it that has to happen? I want to hear from you as well. I want to get your view, because if otherwise, I would like to say we will not come out of Nigeria, and we're all going to be fooling ourselves by saying we want to come out of Nigeria. Let's play the anthem.
wá múlẹ̀ wá orílẹ̀-èdè wa. Kàgbéga, kàgbéga, kàgbéga fàyèrí. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni pé láti dẹ́rù làbọ̀ mọ́. Ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká jọlá. Ìṣọ̀kan àtòmìnira ní ẹ jẹ́ ká lépa. Tẹ̀síwájú ọ̀pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ Oòduà dìde, bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀.
Once again, a very good afternoon and welcome to the program. As we continue to, your audio. Yeah, but I'm still connecting with you anyway. But because we're already lined with you since 12 o'clock. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. What we'll do is we are still live here. So what I'll do is I'm still going to be picking the signal from there. But if you want me to come in, just let me know. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay then. All right. Later. All right. Quite a lot is happening, and that was my big boss there, Heritage Television, I was speaking to. We will open the phone line. Let's open the phone line so that some of you can also maybe have one or two things that you want to ask us. While I'm doing that, like I said, we will still monitor the situation on Heritage Television. But what do we know, that has taken place in the morning that I'm sure some of you have been watching? Let me just quickly pull that up. Quite a very busy day. As you can see, if we want Nigeria to break, we must all work extremely, every day. Let me first bring this up. I think this is the website that, once again, a very good afternoon to those of you that have joined us from different platforms. And we'd like to welcome you onto the broadcast. Okay, let's see whether they've uploaded that on this. Okay, not yet. So we're going to go with the conversation alone. What you were watching on Heritage this morning, and we also saw our father, Professor Banji Akitoye, was also at that event I just finished. Again, Nigeria must break. We have to break it. It's a big elephant. I have told you that so many times. And we have to cut it from different areas. Yes, see Tojo. Yeah, it is fight to finish. We are not going to give Nigeria any room. Let's first play what our father said during that event today.
For the South and the Middle, that this is the turning of the tide of history. For the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt, we have endured suppression in the country that we belong to. And we have done everything possible, everything sensible, everything peaceful to address it. But we have been turned down and treated as if our voices don't matter. Now we are telling the world that our voices matter. And from this point, there is no turning back. I congratulate the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt for this historic day. And I say that we will go on and achieve the liberation of our people from suppression and subjugation in Nigeria. Thank you very much. It is a great day, a welcome change in the life of our people. And we thank you all for listening to us. Here we go. This is the turning of the tide of history for the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody. All of you young men who have done this. You know that I am with you inch of the way every second of the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, bro.
Come back. Let's take that down. Once again, a very, very good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. That was our father, Professor Banji Akintoye. Let me quickly read what you've watched there, on Heritage that we were transmitting from before we started the broadcast. It says, invitation to the live transmission of the former proclamation of a constitutional force majeure in Nigeria by the Nigerian Indigenous Nationality Alliance for Self-Determination, December 16, 2020. Let's break it down. Let us break this English down for the benefit of our people that might not understand, some of these big grammar. So I'm going to go straight to IFA, that is Google. Now let's find out the meaning of this word.
Proclamation. Proclamation.
What is the meaning of proclamation? The meaning of proclamation is a public or official announcement dealing with a matter of great importance. A very, very important discussion. So anytime
proclamation.
Òyìnbó tó ń sọ pé, and now I also want to translate these in Yoruba, not just because of anything, because we are moving into a new nation and we must also be prepared to start translating, which I have been doing. If you have been following me on our Facebook, I've been doing more of translation from English to Yoruba. So I don't know whether somebody wants to help us to speak this in Yoruba, because as you know, even my own Yoruba is not that very strong. Bóyá léyàn tó lè pè wọlé tó lè bá wa ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ní tí a ti sọ ní èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì tó lè bá wa sọ ìtumọ̀ ẹ̀ ní èdè tiwantiwa. Ó dà pé mo lè try díẹ̀, ẹ jẹ́ n gbìyànjú. Ìfitónilétí tí gbogbo ènìyàn tàbí tí ó ṣeé ṣe kan tí ó ṣe pàtàkì. I'm sure you got the message. So the meaning of what you've just watched on Heritage just about some few hours ago is what we are now calling a very, very important, thing in our lifetime, known as this word called
proclamation.
When anything comes up to say proclamation, we are declaring, we are giving an announcement to the Nigerian government, to the international community, to everybody that needs to listen, that there is no more excuse. They only have to listen to us now. If not, Nigeria will just be something that they borrow money for after this proclamation. They are on their own. If they have give a proclamation and any part of the world is still dealing with Nigeria, it is up to them. Again, the word is called
proclamation.
Now, what was discussed there? The proclamation of the constitutional force of majeure. Again, let us find the meaning of this word and let us break it down for the benefit of every one of us, including myself. Okay, now the meaning is what you got here. A force majeure is a common clause in a contract that essentially frees both parties from liability or obligation when an extraordinary event or circumstances beyond the control of parties. So, sorry, thank you very much, Ìyá Oòduà, mo ti rí yín níbẹ̀. Mama wa Grace, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. Ẹ káàbọ̀ Lékan, Nana Awele, Bob Moses, Mama wa Ọmọlára Ìyábọ̀ Àjàlá, màmá mi kan tún nìyẹn, màmá tó pọ̀ ni mo ní, àmọ́ màmá yẹn níjọ́ ta fẹ́ ṣe rally, àwọn lọ́kọ́kọ́ dé bẹ́ẹ̀ gbàrà. A bá wọn ní rally yẹn ni, a bá wọn tó ti dé Trafalgar Square, màmá tó dá nìyẹn. Freedom Force, yes. Thank you very much, Freedom Force. Also, Bossede Larin Alade, welcome on board. Mama Mitoda, another beautiful sister of mine, Adenila, thank you very much. Abosede, Anyoyemi, thank you very much. Yoruba are very beautiful people. Our names, oh my Lord, our names are very, very powerful as well. Let's come back to those of you on YouTube quickly. Babawa Kunle Ekabo Sorieto. Also, see, told you, at the moment, we don't have this where you can give us money on YouTube, but you can donate on our PayPal should you want to do so, because I think, we have not got that monetization yet on my page, and we will just leave it like that. As you know, the way YouTube works is different for every different platform. Also, Nash Olu, thank you very much. Abdurrahman, Nigeria must break. All hail Biafra. Biafra must go. Arewa must go. Niger Delta must go. Every one of us must go. Does not mean that we are not going to be friends. We are still going to be friends. We are still going to be working with each other. But that will be based on everybody's constitution. Olateni Abduyakini, thank you very much. Collins, first major is a pronunciation. Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Akim Adiora Saki. No. Let me mute my laptop here. What's going on? No. I don't want to hear my voice. Oh, wow, the sound is very clear, and people sometimes say it's not clear. Share. Abraham Arao, Adiola, thank you. Kenny Azan, yes, thank you very much. It's going to be Adekwaju Adekunle Titemi all the way in Texas. In Benny, Yoruba people, one culture, one language. Look, Tiba Losile Yokonisi. Manchester. Mama mi, another very beautiful, prayerful, always checking on me. My big auntie Olajire Joseph, Raphael Benga. Let's quickly say good afternoon to those on Instagram. When I'm bending like this, bear with me, because I think I should not be bending, and I should be able to have another device. I beg, help us. So we still need a lot of gadget. The way where they bend my neck like this, Solar and every one of you on our Instagram channel as well. And let me quickly say who is on Olayomi Koiki. What are they waiting for? We are waiting for everybody. Joseph Dande, Daniel, we are waiting for you as well. Omoluka, Tobati Dowomi, go on my page, Omoluka. You will be able to find these already there. This one is there already. But when I get maybe the full information, I will be giving that out quickly as well. Okay, Heritage is back. Let's hear what he's saying.
Everybody wants to be free from that. I'm dying, and I want to say, please, can you help me with fire?
Okay, he's still doing his, talking as well. As soon as we have anything to go, I will go straight. This is the beauty of technology. I need the NTA. Back in the days, you will probably need NTA to do all this. You will need BBC. No. We are now the one to come out of Nigeria by fire, by force. I am giving you the full meaning of this word, a force majeure. I would like to even hear the word itself. I don't know why this did not give me, the sound. I want to hear the sound of it. How to say force majeure. Okay, let's hear it. Yeah, maybe. Okay, let me go back. It would have been nice to hear the sound. And they say, I'm up in Nigeria. Our generation, yo, nigba say. Nigba, number one, ni man so fun yin. Nigba. Let's watch this. Don't want us to listen to the advert. Let's take that out. Now let's listen to it.
Majeure.
This is the problem we have been together. We have been together with Nigeria. Majeure. Now we want to come out. We want to come out of that shithole. That shithole country that has literally, pronunciation. Okay, anyway, we got let's focus on, the meaning. The meaning of this word that you probably have been looking at, and some of you have been thinking, what is this word again? What is this meaning of this force majeure? Majeure. Morning, Mamawa Omolara Sunshine. Ajoke Proper. Thank you very much, all the way in Cairo. Cairo. Every one of us is coming back home. Wallahi tallahi sumobilai lazila hua. Gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tó bá wà níta à ń padà bọ̀ nílé. láṣẹ Èdùmàrè in Jesus name. À ń padà bọ̀ nílẹ̀ wa. Gbogbo tá à ń ṣe ní ọ̀hún yẹn, ní Oman, ní Saudi Arabia, everything tá à ń ṣe lọ́hùn, we will be coming back to come and do the same thing in our own terrestrial land. A máa lé Fúlàní lọ. Yesterday, we talked about, this, dream of UTHMAN and FODIO. Today, we are now looking into, what trigger. Did you see this one? This one was even the 26th of April. Said, with the coronavirus trigger a force majeure clause. So it is something that is used all the time. It is a word that is very, very powerful. But Nigeria is why this word came up today. A force majeure is a common clause in the contract that essentially free us from Nigeria. It must free us. We want to free. Yes, okay. We will all come back home. The real home. Yes, it is enough. I have spent 2 decades, 22 years in UK. I am already tired. Now compare that to people that have spent 40 years, 45 years. They must go back home. Somebody called me yesterday and said, Ori Baba Kola America, Baba Yeti Banasa Shishe, Kolon Tubo Loreme Fua. The man is a wizard when it comes to technology. But the man cannot go back home because there's no home to go back to. Yes, Simon Adebisi. Yes, does anybody know this word? The line is open. I don't want me to be the one talking alone. I want us to be a little bit more interactive today, so that we can. If not, I will just be going through heritage and pick up some sound there.
I think it was a success.
All right, let's watch this for the benefit of every one of us, including myself.
We have many regions in Nigeria that are facing most of the problems that were highlighted. And the fact that most of the regions that are affected by all this can come together and declare something like this, I think it was a success. I think it's high time. The Yoruba people said, meaning when there's something in your eyes, I don't know what you call it, mocos, whatever. It is better that you show the problems to the eye. So I think this is a very good way of telling the Nigerian government that the people are serious about their present predicament and they are willing to do something about it, not just overlook it, not just go with the status quo. And it was a success. It was a success.
Okay, it was a brilliant success. And people were asking us, what is next? What do we go? Where do we go from here? One of the things that was said is that they're going to send it to so many international community, the force majeure, especially when people get to understand the meaning. Like I break down the meaning before, and I thank Justice for actually saying we will call it force majeure, but he said it's actually called constitutional force majeure. It's a goal, and the goal is to say we can't obligate, we can't follow this through anymore. We're tired of this. If everybody is tired of this constitution, what's preventing them from taking it down, Mr. Alagwana? That we have to go this way.
Actually, I think it's about the people's awareness, because we always have to go back to history in order to get good education for people. And what do I mean by the history? This whole universe, we believe that was created by God, and we know how people came to this world simply. And we know the history of man, whether you're a scientist or a religion person, you know that we all started from one place. We, the religious people, we believe that it's Adam and Eve that was created. And we believe that they are the first man and woman. And of course, then there's children. And then the world starts to grow and evolve. So what we have today as a system of government clearly developed from somewhere, and that's where I'm going to. So this was all put in place at a time by people. Like what we have locally, we have the chiefs and the small communities in Yoruba land, and we have the kings, the obas, and the whole date. And it all develops to what we have now when the British came. But the point I'm trying to make here is it always drives back to the people. Whether it's in the old days where you have obas and the chiefs that are managing the affairs of the community, nobody will force you, unless you are a slave, not a freeborn, to go into a community and abide by their rule. And what is even better is when all this modernization came into the system of governing people and society, democracy is one of the best. So democracy is a process whereby we know everybody cannot rule their affair, but they will elect some people, and those people will constitute what we call the government. And then they will be responsible for the affairs of the people. It's as simple as that. Now, it is not for the government to now decide how these people want to be governed. For example, in the old days, if we in our society says stealing is forbidden in this society, it is a rule that we will all agree on as a society. And then when we constitute our government or our chief or our obas, then these obas will now force this rule that we all said stealing is not permitted in our society. It's as simple as that. So if we now bring it to this modern, complicated term, what I'm saying in essence is this: it is not up to the government that will constitute, or the government that was elected, to go and make the rules, to constitute what we call the constitution for these people they are governing, because there is no balance there. So in other words, if you hire a manager for your company to manage your company, it is not up to that manager to now give you the rules and how, is going to govern that place. Because what in essence will happen is they can be biased. So it is the people that will form the constitution, the owners of the land, the people that this constitution is going to represent. For instance, we have places where they have different system of government. It is not that government that was put in place that came and formed that system for them. It is the people that said, we want communism, we want socialism, we want democracy system. How do we want it? Who and who is involved in this? What is our boundaries? What is our weather? What is our territory? The system of government. How many people do we need? How do we relate to this, the local government, which is the most important aspect of government? As minute as we look at them, as one of the lower part of the pyramid, the local governments are the closest to the grassroots and the people.
Okay, I'm going to be joining Heritage now. This will still continue, so you'll be able to still follow, the development. But I will be joining Heritage, and that means, you will not see me on the seat, but literally you'll be seeing me maybe in the next few minutes on Heritage, television. Quite a lot to discuss. Those of us on our other channel, I will make sure we're still. The other system is okay, but I'll continue to monitor, the Instagram along the line as well. So I'll be joining Heritage just about a few minutes. So do not call me. You won't get through, but you'll probably see me on the other side in just about a few minutes. Let's enjoy what the brother is saying. Thank you very much.
Community and whatever we have here, you are free to go, because this is the rule we all agreed on, and we have to respect it. But what you have in Nigeria is not the case. Initially, it was the case. We have our local urbans. We have the Oyo empires. We have different empires in Nigeria. Then the British came with a supposed better system. And that better system developed from colonization and all that, and then we have democracy. But look, let's go back to the time where they're living. When they were living, the question was, what did we people agreed on then? And I think that is the beginning, the genesis of this problem. And we all know the answer. The forefathers, the ones that fought for independence, they must have seen something. A lot of things that we are now seeing that we're different in so many ways, yet we want to live together. So there has to be some check and balance. There has to be some uniformity somewhere where there's a mutual respect and agreement that can be enforced, that will work together. And I think they came up with the idea that we have regional government. So that is what is called federation. So what we have in place, in essence, is actually totally against what we're calling it. If anybody can Google or research what the true federation means, it's all this nation coming together under a federation. So, but what we have right now is a unitary system. What we have right now, recently President Buhari just announced I think a single treasury account. What is federation in that? When all the region has to put their money in one account and somebody can come and manage it the way the other regions do not want. And the result of that is what you're seeing. So the result of that is when a Yoruba man now goes, as they are saying, oh, let's circulate it, there must be a problem for you to say in a nation, in a country, you are now talking about rotational government, whereas you think, oh, it is the Igbo's time, it is the Yoruba time, it is the Hausa time. Then there's a problem, because we are no longer choosing by the merit, by the word of our elected officers, but we are now saying whether it's a crook or not, as long as it's a Yoruba, it is their turn. So what you will have in place is a Yoruba man now taking the turn and going to the Abuja or whatever the head of the government is in Aso Rock, and then chase away all the Hausas there and put his people. And they will do it and say, oh, we've been marginalized for 8 years. So they will work for Yorubas. So it will no longer be a president of Nigeria by Nigeria for Nigeria, but president of Yoruba for the Yorubas by the Yorubas. And the next time what you will have is the Igbo's turn. And then they will come in there and say, oh, we've been waiting for 16 years, it's our turn. So in essence, you have what they call insanity, is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. What you have in place is a system of insanity in Nigeria. And this is the cause of all that. Because we know who we are. As a Yoruba man, I don't like Hausa food. There are certain food that Igbos will eat that I don't like. That is why they constituted a federation whereby I can manage certain affairs of my region. But what you have right now would never work. It's madness, it's a fraud, like we all know. It was a government that was hijacked by the military, and it developed to what we have today. Otherwise, they should come and tell us, where did the people sit down and wrote a constitution? Like in America, they said, we the people. We know the people that were elected to go and constitute and write constitution. We know what we have pre-independent and post-independent. We know what happened after the coup in 1966, and we know who wrote the 1999, supposedly some kind of amendment, constitution, whatever. And it is now we the people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate the way you break it down, that They said the Constitution, one of the fundamental problem with it is that it said we the people, and it's got nothing to do with we the people, because the people didn't sit down to write it. And if you want to see a clean text of this, if you go on YouTube, Heritage Television YouTube channel, you will see a lot of things there in which we have actually break down so many things that might help you understand things better. We the people agree to give out our sovereign to people that does not have our interest at heart. And I like the point you emphasize that they always say is Yoruba turn, is Igbo turn. People are not governing Nigeria that we are currently in, that we want to come out of on merit. They just want to govern because they want to govern, not because they're fit to govern. Because if they're fit to govern, some set of people will get there, and some people will never get there because they don't even have a clue. Nigeria is a state where illiterate are ruling the educated ones. Nigeria, they call it, okay, rotational presidential will have work only if the foundation was honest. It can never work. Rotation doesn't work. You cannot, you should give the government to people who deserve it, people who merit it, people who can do it, people who have the ability, the capability, the technical know-how of how to do it, not because it's from my house. Okay, my uncle is not getting in, so let me try and forward him some few information. It's been some time since he tried to use it last time. First of all is that you cannot use, it's not technically easy to use an iPhone, but if you're using an iPhone, that's not the end of the world. 1 second, guys. Let's go on a short commercial break while I fix this, my brother's thing. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody in London, have you heard that Heritage Television has come up with something new? All your functions and celebrations can now be multi-camera live stream that was only reserved for the rich and famous. Having a function in London can be viewed clean and clear immediately.
All right. While I'm still back on my seat, I will turn on my own camera. We're still having a bit of a technicality to join Heritage, but we will come back here. And then as soon as the signal is back, then I'll make my way back. Let me start breaking down the meaning of the force. And I've got the, the communique that came out from that event. I'll be sharing that out, and I'll be bringing that onto the forum as well. Once again, a very good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. Today, the 16th day of December 2020. Lencon we were, and I can see that quite a lot of people were giving us, the meaning of that word as well. It's a French word, I'm told. The force majeure, force majeure. So it seems that we have been force majeure by these, binding or whatever it is, whether it's the 1914 amalgamation, whatever it is. Something have joined us together with this contraction called Nigeria. And the reason why we are trying to fight it now is not just because, we want to break the constitution. No, it's to get a total self-determination. And I've said it so many times that the country is big elephant and we must be prepared to kill it from different angles. While some of us have, different view, different people are working around the clock. And let me put this on record for the benefit of those that probably are mixing it up. Let me put it on record. I have said it all the time. Whatever I say, it is Koiki Media. When I say we will create chaos in Nigeria, it is me. Does not mean that we will not work with other individual organizations, or I will not work, with my father, which is Professor Banji Akintoye, a man that is well respected. Let me move this one away from his face. This amalgamation. Yes, for now. So, anytime that I'm live and I say what I say, it is because I believe in what I think we should do. Does not mean that I don't agree in the lineage of what he wants to do. And if you follow the event today, he is also part of that event. That means, now at least you have an idea of what has been taking place. And let me just play that video, when he was introduced into the conversation just about, roughly almost an hour ago. This was when our father was about to speak at that particular, event that took place. We respect him. We believe in him. But we also know that we must put so much pressure from my end. Does not mean that I will not work with him. But I don't want a situation where we are going to be dragging these, in and out. And I know the federal government will still respond to what took place today, whether they like it or not. But what if we need time slot? That time slot is still within our own window time. I have said it, that Nigeria should break before 2023. That is what I have said. 2023 is still far away. 2023, she wa ni ibitowa. So, táwọn èèyàn bá ní, ṣé ìtò wọn wá ń sọ nísìn, ṣé ó lòdì sí nǹkan tí Professor Banji Akintoye sọ? Èmi ò ń ṣe Professor Banji Akintoye. Professor Banji Akintoye is different from me. He has his own way of how he wants to take us out of Nigeria. And part of that is probably what you watched today. Because if he is not involved, we would not have had him speaking at that particular event of this Maradona called the Force Majeure. Let's watch and hear again what Professor Banji Akintoye had to say. A very good afternoon to my beautiful mother for joining us. Also, Abimbola, a very good afternoon to every one of you. Nigeria is in that process. That process is what they've given Nigeria today. 3 months. Then, after 3 months, we will then see what eventually will take place again. Let's watch this one more time.
This is the turning of the tide of history for the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt. We have endured suppression in the country that we belong to, and we have done everything possible, everything sensible, everything peaceful to address it. But we have been turned down and treated as if our voices don't matter. Now we are telling the world that our voices matter. And from this point, there is no turning back. I congratulate the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt for this historic day. And I say that we will go on and achieve the liberation of our people from suppression and subjugation in Nigeria. Thank you very much. It is a great day, a welcome change in the life of our people. And we thank you all for listening to us. Here we go. This is the turning of the tide of history for the peoples of the South and the Middle Belt. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody. All of you young men who have done this. You know that I have been inch of the way every second of the time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, bro.
Well, you've had the Professor Banji Akintoye. We believe in him. We will support him. We will give him all the backing. But we don't want the federal government, to hit him hard. And we know that with all the 419 in Nigeria, my job is to work with different organizations, media houses. But my also job is to prepare those at home that probably you don't have to see them coming online and talk to you. And that is how we have to do it. I know my brother is back again, Heritage. I'm still, trying to get onto the platform.
To be like Mr. Agbala, who is in America, that will win this art. Stop it. You're wasting your time. So this competition is only for people in England. Even if you're watching it from any platform, to make sure we reward people who has been working hard in the past. So anybody that knows when Heritage Television joined the struggle, please type it in the comments. No, send it to me by text. If you know when Heritage Television joined the struggle, send it to me by
I'm
text.
going to read to you. Let me
Heritage.
note Heritage there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to read to you the notice of constitutional grievances and declaration which has been sent to me. But I'm trying to send it to my email. And then I could then also, okay, I think I should be able to get it now. If you also want it, I will send it to you so that you can also have the opportunity to have a copy as well. But it's circulated already for the benefit of those that might want to. And I hope when I bring it up, I should be able to. Again, we can circulate it as well through Messenger, which I'm already doing. Tebatigba, Eba was spreaded. So that is what was these what is called the force majeure. Force majeure is a common clause in a contract that essentially free both parties from liability, obligation from an extraordinary event like Nigeria. And when we're talking about the 1914 amalgamation, we must find a way out of it. We must find a way. And this is part of what, I guess, I've started. I've sent it out on the Facebook Messenger. If you have not received it, you would also have opportunity to do so at some point. Once again, a very good afternoon and welcome. Now, let me see if I can open my email and then I could start reading it out quickly. It's about 15 pages, so I'm going to go straight to my email. And okay, I've got it now on my email, okay, which is very good. The question now is, okay, I think I need to share my screen. That is going to be the way to see it. Oh, yes, that's it. Wow, beautiful. Now, this is the, let me see if I can increase the front. Let's increase that. Okay, wow. Okay. I love technology. And imagine what we should be doing. Oh, what happened there? Okay, let's bring it back again. I think okay, it's back on. That's the beauty of technology. So if you have received it, you can also please share along as well. And if you want it as well, proclamation means palango. What does that mean? Joffin. I hope I pronounced the name very well. Anyway, let me come back here so that we can continue with the conversation. My name is Olayomi Koiki, and I'm here to also say Nigeria is at the verge of breakup. The pressure is too much. The federal government will not have any reason to either listen to us or bring out their bulldogs, which is the Fulani. And that is why we must be prepared. You close your eyes and you have your AK-47 next to you. Because these are animals. We already gave you so much during the conversation yesterday. Now, let's read this together. Let me minimize. Okay. All right. Temi Tokwe, thank you very much. It was during the 2019 when we are approaching the time of election. Well, there's no election in 2023. Let's talk about this. Notice of constitutional grievances. Declaration. Okay, I need to start the Instagram quickly. I'm not sure what is going on. That one is giving a bit of headache. I want to make sure all the platform. Thank you very much, those of you that are still with us today. All right, let's start it again. A lot of signal problem today. All right, let's come back here. Notice of constitutional grievances, declaration of constitutional force majeure. I have explained to you the meaning of that word. And demand for transition process for an orderly reconfiguration of the constitutional basis of the Federation of Nigeria, being the joint proclamation of a sovereignty dispute by accredited delegate of Nigerian indigenous nationality of the Southern and the Middle Belt Territory of Nigeria, issued today, the 16th day of December 2020 in Lagos. This proclamation is titled Correcting the Mistake of 1914. So I think I should also have the background change. That's it. So that is why this was, brought up. Now let's go further. Oh, sorry about that. Protocols, ladies and gentlemen of the press, as the distressed Federation of Nigeria wobbles in what seems its terminal throes, as young Nigerians rise up massively in revolt against system that ruin their present and compromise their future, and there's a bloody conflict rage in all parts of Nigeria in a disputation of the terms of the distressed Nigerian Union, and as a concern mount in the international community first regarding the international community falls regarding the shaky future of the troubled Nigerian Federation, and the second, the impact of a possible disorderly dissolution of Nigeria over the West African sub-region, the rest of Africa, and indeed the world. Let's come further down. We gather here this day as accredited delegate of the constituent component nationalities of Nigeria under the aegis of Nigeria Indigenous Nationality Alliance for Self-Determination, being a joint cooperation framework for the self-determination initiative of the Southern and the Middle Belt of Nigeria on behalf of various peoples and interests to pronounce an end to our toleration of Nigeria's unitary constitutional order, unilaterally imposed and forcefully maintained by the section of Nigerian country in negation of the federal basis upon which Nigeria became one political union at the independence in 1960, and in brutal substitution of our collective sovereignty currently being forcefully and fraudulently appropriated by the Nigerian state. We gather here today before the global community to formally proclaim a sovereignty dispute in rejection of the further operation of the imposed unity constitutional arrangement of Nigeria and in assertion of an inalienable right to self-determination. Number two, the history of the colonial beginnings of Nigeria as a commercial venture of Britain is too well known to admit of any further repetitions here, but suffice it to recall. 1. The manipulation that went into the flawed foundations laid by the British in the 1914 amalgamation of the Protectorate of Southern Nigeria with the Protectorate of the Northern Nigeria as revealed in recently declassified British colonial record on Nigeria. Created a loop-side union, locking the divided peoples of Nigeria into one political union with two mortally opposed civilizations. Number two, that as independence approached in 1960, the diversities of various peoples of Nigerian Union dictate the adoption of the federal constitutional model by the then largely autonomous region, namely Eastern, Western, and the Northern region of Nigeria, as the basis of entry into independence as one political union in 1960. 3. That admits the early strains of post-independence Nigeria arising mainly from the affirmation, foundational, pre-independent manipulations by the British colonial rulers of Nigerian Union. The military coups of 1966 truncated the federal constitutional basis of Nigeria, plunged the flagging union into a catastrophic 30-month war with its breakaway Eastern region between 1967 and 1970, triggered by disputation around the time of Nigerian Union, and leaving in its trail human carnage in excess of 3 million people and a fractured union now resting on an unworkable unilateral constitutional order, imposed in 1979 by the fiat of the illicit federal government which emerged since the 1966 collapse of the Federation of Nigeria, forcefully hijacking, confiscating the sovereignties of the constituent component regions of Nigeria that federated their sovereignty in 1960. That the prevailing 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, which was a wholesale adoption of the 1979 edition by Decree number 24 of 1999, revalidated, reinforced the affirmation, hijack, confiscation of the sovereignty, powers, and assets of the four HUTHMAN, federating union, federating region by affirmation, illicit federal government of Nigeria, which by decree fractured the four regions into 36 states that are completely emasculated by a 68-item federal exclusive legislative list that comprehensively stripped the federating state of all key economic assets and governmental powers, thereby creating a totally dysfunctional, corruption-prone, over-centralized system that has failed in every respect, manifesting in gross insecurity, decay, infrastructure, and mass impoverishment, such that Nigeria, with its vast human, material resources, endowment, has now emerged as the poverty capital of the world, as well as the global leading example of a failed state. There is a countrywide consensus against the unitary constitutional arrangement imposed incrementally on Nigerians by a combination of good, brutal force, and impunity between 1966 and 1999. Now, codified by the 1999 Constitution, this countrywide consensus had manifested in several unilateral, regional, and joint multi-region action in repudiation and rejection of the unitary 1999 Constitution of Nigeria. The first indication was in the year 2000. The 12 contiguous states of the far north simultaneously imposed and began to implement Sharia in their domains against the express provision of the 1999 Constitution, which in Section 10 forbids the adoption of any state religion. This translates to a unitary secession from a secular union of Nigeria. Between 2005 and 2006, a sovereignty conference of ethnic nationality of Nigeria, convened by the pro-national conference organizations, PRONACO deliberated exhaustively and produced a draft People's Constitution 2006, which had the potential of restoring Nigeria to its damaged federal foundation. Though ignored by the successful federal government in Nigeria, that draft became a new federating consensus against the prevailing unitary constitutional order in Nigeria. It will be recalled that prior to the 1999 return to civil rule in Nigeria and before PRONACO, there was NADECO, which vigorously challenged both the aberration of military governance in Nigeria and Nigeria unitarily federalism imposed by military decree. As a way of easing out the rejected unitary constitutional order and paving the way for the emergence of a new federating consensus, the convener of the PRONACO, aggregating under the aegis of the Movement for New Nigeria, being an alliance of the regional self-determination initiatives of the South and the Middle Belt territory of Nigeria, year after called the Alliance. In May of 2007, instituted a lawsuit at the Federal High Court in Abuja, challenging the legitimacy of the 1999 Constitution on the grounds of fraud and forgery, and sought an order of court for the termination of the operation of the 1999 Constitution by an 18-month transitional arrangement. The MNN Alliance, by its Lagos Declaration of June 30, 2011, which we'll probably be able to check here later, but we come back to this. So we just leave that and come back. Jointly repudiated the 1999 Constitution as the basis of Nigerian Federation and mandated the Alliance bloc to distill their various regional chapter and constitutional draft in readiness for the inevitable fundamental reconfiguration of the distressed Nigerian Federation to be rectified by referendum and plebiscite. We hereby adopt and incorporated the said MNN Lagos Declaration of June 30, 2011 in support of this proclamation. Pursuant of the mandate of the MNN Lagos Declaration of June 30, 2011, the regional blocks of the MNN Alliance convened their various regional solemn assemblies between 2015 and 2018, namely the April 27, 2015 solemnly Assembly of the People of the Lower Niger in Port Harcourt, Southeast and South-South, the September 7, 2007 Yoruba Summit in Ibadan, and the July 18, 2018 Emergency Assembly of the Peoples of the Middle Belt in Makurdi. Each of these regional solemn assembly formally repudiated and rejected the 1999 Constitution as the basis of Nigerian Federation, and we hereby endorse, adopt, incorporated the resolution reached by each. Having rejected the 1999 Constitution as the basis of Nigerian Federation, and in the face of the ferocious but coordinated ethnic cleansing on slaughter of the murderous Fulani militia against the indigenous people of Nigeria, the MNN Alliance mobilized the people of Alliance territory under the aegis of the Nigerian Indigenous Nationality Alliance for Self-Determination to issue the joint multi-regional Freedom Park Proclamation of December 11, 2018. Again, I will open that and we come back to that. So we come back to that. By which the Alliance territory rejected the conduct of the further national elections mandated by the repudiated 1999 Constitution, demanded a transition in place of a largely doomed 2019 national election as a way of putting a time frame to the termination of the operation of the 1999 Constitution and distillation of the successor constitutional protocol. The said Freedom Park Proclamation of December 11, 2008 is hereby adopted and incorporated in support of this present proclamation. It is pertinent to note that across all regions of Nigeria, various social, cultural, and ethnic interests, vanguard organizations have also been vehement in expressing the constitutional grievances of their own people. Some even violently towards the Yoruba side. We have the Afenifere, the Yoruba Elders Council, Agbekoya, the Yoruba Liberation Command, Yolicon, Yoruba World Congress, and many more others, including the Ilana Omo Oodua, which now aggregate several Yoruba self-determination initiatives across the world. In the eastern part of the southern Nigeria, we have the Ohanize, Movement for Survival of the Ijaw Ethnic Nationality in Niger Delta, Musend, Ijaw National Congress, INC, Ijaw Youth Council, IYC, Pandif, Midwest Movement for Niger Delta People Volunteer Force, NDPVF, MEND, MASOB, IPOB, others in the Middle Belt. We have the Middle Belt Forum, MBF, MBC, Sokapu, Consider, and others, several notable statements in Nigeria, including General Olusegun Obasanjo, Yakubu Gowon, both head of state, have lent their voices to the urgent imperative of fundamental reworking of the damaged constitutional basis of Nigeria, warning that any further delay may lead to catastrophic collapse of the distressed Nigerian Union. Nigerian former Defense Minister, Lieutenant General Theophilus Danjuma, had also urged the indigenous people of Nigeria facing the ethnic cleansing and slaughter of the murderous Fulani invaders to defend themselves and their land in the face of obvious collusion of the federal government of Nigeria and its armed force with the Fulani invaders. In the aftermath of the October 2020 NSAS protest, many, including Nigerian Christian Elders Forum, NCEF, now insist that Nigeria needs to be renegotiated. Between January and July of 2019, a delegation of Alliance territory engaged the international community, especially stakeholders, institutions in Washington, D.C., to alert the U.S. and the global community of the degenerating security situation in Nigeria, where ISIS, ISWAP, terror machinery made sweeping inroads into Nigeria and the Lake Chad Basin, with Nigeria as its hub, with large-scale killing and dislodgement of Christian indigenous population, mainly in the Middle Belt and the South, encouraged by what seems a manifestly systematic federal government of Nigeria and its armed force in circumstances that present terror-related concern to the global community, particularly the United States. Specifically, constitutional grievances touching on the sovereignty of the constituent component of the distressed Federation of Nigeria, which are beyond the powers and legislative mandate of the National Assembly of Nigeria or the federal government of Nigeria to unilaterally address. The claim in the preamble to the 1999 Constitution that we, the people, firmly and solemnly resolve to live in one political union and that we enact and give ourselves the 1999 Constitution is self-evidently false as a decree number 24 of 1999 by which the so-called 1999 Constitution was promulgated, outlined step by step. The process by which the author of the 1999 Constitution, General Abdulsalam Abubakar, and his Armed Force Provisional Ruling Council came about the document it labeled the 1999 Constitution. This is a criminal usurpation of the sovereignty of the constituency component whose exclusive right it is to make for themselves the constitution by which they will federate and be governed as the incident of their sovereignty. Even by the admission of the 1999 Constitution as Section 14.2a, sovereignty belongs to the people from whom government, through this Constitution, derive all its powers and authority. This is the fountain from which all other constitutional grievances flow, and there is no other remedy. To these particular grievances, then an autonomous, I think it's, we will definitely, at some point have to start, breaking some of these big grammar, but I will just copy that I will drop that somewhere and we come back to it because I really want us to understand some of these, and the pronunciation is
autochthonous.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Just note that. I think I'm going to start picking some of these big grammar. Process by which the constituent component will submit their peoples and their land into a union and also stipulate the terms of that union to be rectified by the referendum and also the plebiscite. I'm going to take that one as well.
Plebiscite.
Plebiscite. So we come back to that again. Decree number 24 as incorporated into the 1999 Constitution at the preamble text of 1999 Constitution. A federation is a union of constitution, and Nigeria became a federation of 3 largely autonomous regions at independence in 1960, when those regions, each armed with its own constitution, agreed to federate into one political union after a series of negotiations at Lancaster House in London. Let's put that as well. We'll come back to that. Lancaster House. This is where our problem, this building, we'll come back to that. Lancaster House in London between 1957 and 1959. The Midwestern region became the 4th region of Nigeria in 1963 from a constitutional process. The 36 states and the 774 local government structure unilaterally imposed by the 1999 Constitution fundamental distort the pre-1966 4-region federation, especially the power relation between the federating unit and the federal government, which is supposed to be a creation of federating unit, rendering Nigerian Union a unitary state away from the federal basis, upon which the autonomous region was the diverse people of Nigeria agreed to, becoming one political union and independent. So I'm going to again pick this word just again so that we will come back to that as well. Autonomous.
Autonomous.
Again, autonomous of a country or region having the freedom to govern itself or control its own affair. This was what we signed for when all these were being joined together until we now under this fraudulent 1999 Constitution. So we came under that autonomous region of the diverse people of Nigeria agreed to become one political union at that independence in 1960. These imposed structures also create artificial permanent political majorities and permanent political minorities, irrespective of ground realities in terms of population, other key indexes, with grave implication for representation in place of decision making as well as resource allocation amongst other deliberations. There is no other viable remedy for these particular grievances than reverting to a negotiated basis of federating in terms of formation, preference, rectified by referendum, and also these plebiscites, which I'm going to tell you the meaning now because it's coming up again. The direct vote of all members of an electorate on an important public question such as we don't want to be part of Nigeria, such as a change in the constitution. We come back again here. No. Yeah. So, bear with me. I just want to see, we lost one of our Instagram. I want to see if we can start it again. Once again, a very good afternoon and welcome to the program. Now, the 68th item. The 68th item, the Federal Exclusive Legislative List, is the mechanism by which the illicit federal government of Nigeria hijacked, confiscated, suppressed the key economic asset as well as the most important governmental powers and authority of the federating unit. The federal confiscated assets include the oil and gas asset, the vast maritime asset of the coastal territory, solid mineral including iron ore, aluminium, coal, limestone, and a wide range of precious metals and stones. The federal confiscated power include the power to generate and transmit electricity, the power to operate a police service and other services that might require the use of arms, the power to build, own, or operate seaport and airport, railways and highway. Also confiscated are the powers over banking, insurance, copyright, patent, trademark, pension, prison, post, company incorporation, marriages and election into federal and state public offices. The list continues. Some of the worst consequences of this federal hijack and confiscation of powers and assets was the seizure by the federal government of educational institutions, particularly the great university developed by the then region, which the federal government thoroughly degraded over the years. The same was the case with the manufacturing concerns established by the region. The implication of this federal exclusive legislative list is that only the federal government shall have power, control over all items listed, while the federating units are forbidden from undertaking anything common under that list. So nobody can do anything under that particular list that I just read to you right now. To make things worse, even the new undertakings permitted the already emasculated state under the so-called concurrent list. 30 items are expressly subjected to the overriding of powers of the federal government, such that any conflict between the federal government and the government of a state in respect of any matter on concurrent list, the interest of the federal government will prevail. More than any other single cause, the disastrous consequences of these over the centralization of control over a large range of subject matter has been at the heart of Nigeria's arrested development and total system dysfunction, especially when viewed against the backdrop of the rapid social economic development in the pre-1966 region of Nigeria, which own, control, and work their respective economic assets to the benefit of their own people. Exercise most of the powers are now substantially from then by the so-called federal government. The over-centralization comes with hideous inefficiency that have been the root cause of the culture of corruption and waste in Nigeria, as humongous assets and funds are held in the hands of federal establishments that have no real contact with development needs of the various parts of Nigeria. Thus, we are saddled with a situation in which people who have nothing to do with the pressing need of the true owners of the asset and who are not in any way accountable to these true owners or anybody at all, carry on most wastefully as armed robbers would do with their loot, whether such public funds are proceed from the sale of oil and gas or from custom duties, operation of port, company tax or VAT. Those who receive the funds as allocation simply treat the fund as their own share of the loot called Nigeria. In all, the entire system is designed to resistant to development. The various agitations in Nigeria, from the Niger Delta Resources Control agitation to the Yoruba OPC and Amotekun, that seek control over Yoruba internal security, to the Biafra agitation by those in the eastern Nigeria who are so completely frustrated by the inequitable, unworkable Nigerian Unitary Union, that seek outright exit from the union, are the causes by the 68-item federal exclusive legislative list. That Nigeria is without electricity or any meaningful infrastructure is on the account of this federal exclusive legislative list. That Nigeria has become the poverty capital of the world is due mainly to the exclusive list. The broken down security situation in Nigeria is also largely due to this exclusive list. The remedy to this particular constitutional grievances is to dismantle the exclusive list completely, restore the sovereignty powers to the constituent component, which may in turn cede to the center only such power as they freely wish, in unfettered self-determination as dictated by the concept of federalism, second schedule part 1 of the 1999 Constitution. Aggravation of existing constitution, grievances, and extraordinary urgency for remedial action. Amid trencher demand by the people of the South, the Middle Belt, for the fundamental reconfiguration of Nigerian unitary constitutional order to address the dysfunctional system which security, infrastructure had completely broken down in Nigeria, the ferocious ethnic cleansing onslaught by the Fulani militia masquerading as herdsmen commenced through southern and middle belt Nigeria upon emergency of Major General Muhammadu Buhari in 2015 as the president of Nigeria, compounding the Boko Haram insurgency, the terror campaign that was already ravaging the northeast of Nigeria, especially the Christian community. We are now in number 7 and we're still going to number 15. Concerning the rapid worsening security situation in Nigeria, particularly in the southern and the middle belt territories, as well as glaring complicity of the federal government of Nigeria in circumstances that progressively validate the charge of outright collusion with the murderous Fulani militia, it is pertinent to point out the following: that as President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, a Fulani himself, and a life grand patron of the Fulani Cattle Breeders Association, Makaban, had asked the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, who had come to seek federal government intervention on the invasion of Benue State by Fulani herdsmen, to go home and get his people to live in peace with the murderous Fulani herdsmen who Buhari described as Fulani of Benue. Number B. Nigeria Defense Minister under President Buhari had declared that development blocking what it described as ancient cow grazing routes must be removed, or cows and herdsmen will bulldoze their way through the development. Number C. Inspector General of Police under President Buhari declared that the state which passes and enforces anti-open grazing laws were responsible for violence being unleashed by Fulani herdsmen, and that unless those laws were repealed, the situation will only get worse. Number D. Amidst the agonizing cry of the people of Middle Belt and the South regarding the invasion their communities by murderous Fulani militia, the spokesman of President Buhari, Femi Adesina, advised the distressed and the endangered community that it would be better to give up their land to Fulani in order to save their lives. Number E. Under the watch of President Muhammadu Buhari, at the outset of the post-2015 escalation of the Fulani herdsmen killing in southern Kaduna, the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, had announced how he went to 14 different countries to appease the Fulani who come from those countries to kill in southern Kaduna, to appeasement measure according to El-Rufai, including the payment of 100 million naira from the public purse of Kaduna State to the invading murderous Fulani militia. Number F. Under the watch of President Buhari, a strange practice was introduced in which captured fighters of Boko Haram and other terror groups are freed by the federal government of Nigeria, which declares them repentant and actually absorbs them into Nigerian military. The recent unilateral declaration by President Buhari that Africans from all parts of Africa are free to enter Nigeria without a visa, and consequently influx of Fulani into Nigeria who are being openly aided by the federal government of Nigeria to take over vast land from the indigenous community, has excavated the undisguised ethnic cleansing by the invading Fulani, whom the governor of Bauchi State recently declared as being all Nigerians wherever they are in Africa, on a scale that totally compromised the sovereignty of Nigeria and therefore that of all of the constituent components of Nigeria, particularly the South and the Middle Belt. The massive influx of dangerous-looking Fulani migrants into the southern Nigeria during the federal government imposed COVID-19 lockdown is a pointer to the malevolent motives of the Fulani. In the first week of August 2020, the U.S. raised alarm about an impending invasion of Nigeria by both Al-Qaeda and ISIS from Nigeria northwest. To further compromise our sovereignty, Chinese loan being recklessly contracted by the federal government of Nigeria contained clauses that ceded Nigerian sovereignty to China in the event of default. Reckoning aggravation above the people of South Middle Belt of Nigeria are now in the horrific realization, apprehension that the Fulani-controlled federal government of Nigeria under the superintendence of a Fulani president, Muhammadu Buhari, could actually be behind the well-orchestrated ethnic cleansing campaign being unleashed against the indigenous nationality of Nigeria by the Fulani invading Nigeria from all sides. In face of the Sharia embraced by the compatriots in the far north of Nigeria in supposedly secular federation, the clear essentially threat to the peoples of southern and middle belt Nigeria represented by the aforementioned jihad-style Fulani militia on slaughter brings a new urgency to the grave constitutional grievances that have been consistent raised by the people of southern and middle belt Nigeria in the course of the last 5 decades, bordering on the sovereignty of the constituent component of Nigeria, which has now been completely hijacked, suppressed, subjugated by the ellipse federal government of Nigeria, which has become a suzerain power control exclusive by the Fulani. Accordingly, we are undersigned, being accredited representative of the indigenous nationality of Nigeria, Southern and Middle Belt Territory, year after called the Alliance Territory, constituent over 75% of the population of Nigeria, on behalf of the people of the Alliance Territory and invoking the universe right apperent to our sovereignty as indigenous people of the distressed Nigerian Federation, including the right to self-determination as enriched in United Nations Declaration of the Right of Indigenous People 2007, as well as United Nations Chapter on Human Rights. Having exhausted every democratic, people-driven process in seeking an orderly redress for the aforementioned grave constitutional grievances emanating from the unilateral imposition of a unitary constitutional order on supposed federal union by a section of Nigeria that has now imposed Sharia in their own part of our supposed secular union. And now, in circumstance that has become an extraordinary emergency for our peoples, being confronted by clear and present danger of extermination in the hands of supposed compatriots in the Union of Nigeria, we are pursuing an ethnic cleansing campaign against the indigenous nationality of Nigeria, hereby declare a sovereignty dispute with the Federation of Nigeria as represented by the federal government of Nigeria on account of rejection of the imposed 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, whose authorship was fraudulently imputed to us by the preamble to that Constitution in its first claim that we, the people, made an act and gave to ourselves the said 1999 Constitution with a further lie in that preamble, that we are solemnly resolved to submit our people and our land into the Union of Nigeria. Furthermore, in invocation of our long-suppressed collective sovereignty, we hereby proclaim a constitutional force majeure effective from the midnight of which is today, 16th of December 2020, with a 90-day notice to the government of the Federation of Nigeria, the Security Council of the United Nations, the government of the United States of America, the European Union, as well as the international community, of the intention of the peoples of Alliance Territory to reconsider our continued allegiance to the disputed 1999 Constitution, as well as the unitary union of the debt, attrition, and backwardness to its foist on us. For the sake of peace and to avoid anarchy, it is our demand that in 90-day period of this notice, the following specific action must be taken by the federal government of Nigeria to firmly set in motion an irreversible process by which aforementioned grave constitutional grievances will be addressed. A formal announcement by the federal government of Nigeria acknowledging the constitutional grievances, sovereignty dispute now declared by the people of South and Middle Belt of Nigeria. B a formal commitment by federal government of Nigeria to the wholesale decommission, jettison of the 1999 Constitution as the basis of the Federation of Nigeria, as was done by the government of the apartheid-era South Africa in 1990, to commence the process by which the apartheid constitution of the then South Africa was eased out. C, a formal announcement by the federal government of Nigeria suspending further general election under the dispute 1999 constitution, since winners of such election will swear to and govern by that constitution. D, a formal initiation of a time-bound transition process to midwife the emergency of fresh constitutional protocol by two-stage process in which the constituent regional blocks will at first stage distill, rectify their various constitutions by referendum and plebiscite, and in the second stage negotiated the terms of federating afresh as may be dictated by the outcome of referendum and plebiscite. A formal invitation to the people of the South and the Middle Belt of Nigeria to work out and in place a transition authority which shall specify modality of transition process, including composition, mandate of the transitional authority, as well as the time frame for the transition and other auxiliary matters. By this proclamation, let it be known to all, including the international money lenders, that Nigeria is now a disputed project, and that while the constituent component commit to honoring existing international debt obligation, we caution that whatever obligation that may arise from any foreign loan contracted by the federal government of Nigeria from today of this proclamation may come into controversy. Similarly, all loans contracted by the federal government of Nigeria contain any clause that may cede the sovereignty of Nigeria or any part of thereof in the event of repayment default shall be disputed as illicit and in a breach of sovereignty of the federating unit. We also invite politicians from the alliance territory and all political parties operating in the alliance territory to take note that the 1999 constitution, by which the winner of any national election in Nigeria will swear and govern, is the very object of sovereignty dispute. We have just proclaimed with a demand that the further national election premised upon the repeated damage constitution be deferred forthwith for the purpose of first reworking the damaged constitutional basis of Nigeria. It is therefore our expectation that you will stand with the people you claim or seek to serve as politicians or political parties in their current resolve to wind up the operation of the 1999 constitution, extinguish the source of their misery. If instead of standing with your people, you choose to go to another round of general election in 2023 under that constitution, it will simply mean that you are part of the enemy-imposed mechanism for inflicting death, misery, impoverishment upon your own people for no other reason than personal gain. The signatory for this proclamation commit themselves to providing a detailed proposition for undertaking this fundamental reconfiguration of the damaged constitutional basis of Nigeria. In this regard, the signatory adopted, incorporated the MNN Alliance 16th of 2018 open memorandum to President Muhammadu Buhari on restructuring debate. Click this link to know more on that. We click that and then we come back here. For the full text, and was also reported by the Guardian of November 18, 2018 as outline of the prescription issued this day, 16th of December 2020. Appendix A, signatory to the Notice of Constitutional Grievances, Declaration of Constitutional Force Majeure, and demand for transitional process for an orderly reconfiguration of the constitutional basis of the Federation of Nigeria, being in the joint proclamation of a sovereignty dispute by accredited delegate of Nigerian indigenous nationality of the Southern, the Middle Belt Territory of Nigeria, issued today, the 16th day of December 2020 in Lagos, under the title Correcting the Mistake of 1914, Western Nigerian Yoruba Land. These are the names under that. Organization, Professor Adebanji Akintoye, Mrs. Julia O. Akintoye, Otumba Shade Olukoya, Ààrẹ Dr. Kunle Oshodi, George O. Akinola, Bashorun Kunle Adesokan, Comrade Bumi Abidogun, Professor Adewale Adeniran, Dr. Akin Adejuwon, Mrs. Shola Salako, Asiwaju Olu Mayegba, I hope I pronounced that well, Omokende A. Mayegba, Professor Ade Kukoye, Paul O. Bankole, Mrs. Dupe Ajayi Badebo, Ademola Akintoye, Michael Awe, Bola Bolawole, Dr. Rotimi Olokodano, Feyisola Oluwawemimo Okupe. I think I've gone too far. Oluwa Rotimi Ajibowo, Dr. Adewole Banji, Toluwa Lashe. 1 minute, guys. Let's start this again. Toluwa Lashe Banji, no, Toluwa Lashe Adeshina, Maxwell Adeleye, Praises Ayedele, Iyanda Wasiu Abiodun, Ọpẹ́olúwa Elisha Ademoyegun, Makanjuola Adigun, Ajani Oluwafemi. Appendix B, Signatory of the Notice of Constitutional Grievances of Declaration of Constitutional Force Majeure and Demand for Transitional Process for an Orderly Reconfiguration of Constitutional Basis of the Federation of Nigeria, and the name for the Middle Belt is as follows. Professor Yusuf Turaki, Air Comrade John Jang, Dr. Bitrus Bogo, Engineer Abdullahi Tanko, Ajia Amina Mohammed, Nuhu Ibrahim, Dr. Isuwa Dogo, H.E. Dr. Sham Sagbayi, Mrs. Deborah Ogazuma, Mr. Emmanuel Alamu, Mrs. Elizabeth Jubrin, Engineer Ben Akara, Mr. Adekole Ijogi, Dr. Emmanuel Onchayo, Abba Jembi ESQ, Mrs. Ene Eda, Bishop Abu Dawaki, Alex Marina ESQ, Mr. Benjamin S. Ashu, Mr. Ba Abubakar, Mark Jacob ESQ, Mr. Simon Reeve, Mr. Larry Obafemi, Justin Chungo ESQ, Leonard Lizando ESQ, Honorable Jonathan Ashake, Mr. Musa Jekeko, Reverend James Pam, Dr. Luca Malimo, Mr. Dan Aaron, Dr. Zahu Bona, Dr. Yusuf Sunday, Dara Dudu, Professor Zach Gundo, Ambassador Emmanuel Injawa, Professor Tado Kalip, Dr. Christobag Amua, Chief Nigato Anya, and then CP Ibo Iga, His Royal Highness Chief Daniel Abostan, Professor Armstrong Mate Adejo, Tam Hamba Timothy, Ada Anthony Ada, Leonard Inzado ESQ, Yusuf Amos Sunday, Binano Eston ESQ, Pani Yunosa Boga, Dr. Francis Zira. Then we go to the next one, Appendix C. From the South, the Lower Niger, Air Comrade Indoski Ingang, Senator Inat Ekon, Fedri Agbayibe, TK Ogoroba, Masha Kono, Ambassador God Knows Bolade Igale, Isa Momodu, Donna Ekpo, Matthew Digger, Imo Stephen Okoko, Okenyi Kusman, Peter Olofu, Kelly Ifamana Umukoro, Pastor Samuel Igiri, Rear Admiral Jeffrey Younger, Chief Dan Ibirin Ekpebe, Mike Oka, Prince Ihuo, Jerry Okolo, Chief Kalati Jata Obadia, Prince Tonye, Jamina, David Igiri, Kennedy John West, Joseph Philip, George Bo, Peter Aikoha. Oh, what happened there? Let's bring it back on. We're almost there. Let's just finish it up. Let me, what have I done now? Okay. We're in number 6. Harrison Imide, Lucky Ajibe, Sylvester Oyekpen. And D, the Igbo, Chief Ine Inwobodo, Professor Chidi Osugwe, Comrade Ibitu Ikwi, Chika Odunikwe, Richard Obilo, Mrs. Patient Oru, Ogbo Awoka Ogbo, Dr. Okanwa Inwosu, Dr. Clifford Ironya, Dr. Emeka Onyebuchi, Okechukwu Oji, Mark Olisa, Tony Namdi, Dr. Patient E. Simon Okube, Mrs. Munachisuaga Okpala, Dr. Augusta Uloma Anosika, Dr. Sijo Odumeku, Dr. Amuzu Eronini, Chioma Uche C. Injo, Chinedu Oscar, Uju Lena Modi, Indidi Uchu, Jonah Insoki, Igwe Peter, Apostle Newman Nowokoro, Apostle Francis Iziru, Benson Izobi, Uchena Inamdi, Nene Nawana Obi Manafa, and Josephine Osakwe, Kali Albert, Dr. Ingozi Oleru, Chudi Inwafo Jude Udumegu, and that is all it takes. A very good afternoon once again, and welcome to the program. My name is Olayomi Koiki. The line is now open. This is what I've been reading